Yorushka. Yes, we are continuing our track by track listen through to the second person album with this particular song, which I gotta be honest, this one's a little bit different from everything else in this playlist. And if you've been following this series, you'll probably know the reason why, but I'm just gonna quickly explain. Unlike every other song in this playlist, as far as I'm aware, I heard this one when it came out, but so why am I doing a first reaction? Or why am I doing a reaction at all? The thing is, I haven't actually heard it since. And usually I would still say, hey, it's not worth doing a reaction, I already kind of know the song. But I can say that I feel like my entire perspective on the artist, totally different. It's long enough that I've pretty much forgotten the song. So I'm recording this, and if I find at the end I've got nothing interesting to say, then, well, you wouldn't have seen this because I won't upload it. We've had little things like that on the channel before where people go, why didn't you upload that? I went, I had nothing to say about it. But this one, I feel like I'm going to have a lot to say, because what do I remember of this song? Well, I remember that when I did hear it when it came out, which, considering second person, it was apparently this year in 2026, this song feels like it's much older. I need to check when it was released. It feels like it was a long time ago. It was in May of 2025, so actually it's just over a year ago now. I'm recording this on the 26th of May, so yeah, back a year and 2 weeks. When I heard the only things I remember about hearing this is it was more jazzy than I had expected. But now that I've got so much more context on Yorushka, I think that, and by the way, when I first heard it, I heard it on a Twitch stream, so I haven't done a reaction to it or anything on the channel. But when I first heard it, I remember, like I say, thinking it was more jazzy than I expected. But having now heard everything on this album up to this point, obviously this whole album is kind of jazzier than I would have expected. And yes, I've had wonderful conversations with all the fans in the comments about the reasons for that, how the group has developed, how this differs so much from Nabana's earlier work, or indeed what I would have probably mentally expected from Yorushka. Just sort of knowing that there's that kind of Vocaloid core to their story. So this is something where, I don't know, now when I listen to it, will I still think it's as jazzy now that I've heard the other things? How much of the song do I remember? Is it going to feel very different? Obviously, from years of living in Japan, this is a song that probably over the last year I would have heard just walking around in Japan. So am I going to suddenly remember it as something that, oh yeah, that was playing on the radio all the time, every time I walk around the shopping mall or something? I am kind of interested to get reunited with this and see if I have anything worthwhile to say. Once again, if I had nothing worthwhile to say, I wouldn't have uploaded this video. If you're seeing this video, it's because I actually had something to say at the end. So, anyway, let's jump into it. Hopefully I'll have lots of interesting things to discuss. Again, I haven't really heard, I don't think I've heard it a single time knowingly since that first time I heard it on Twitch back when it came out. So now I'm back to check it out. Anyway, let's go. This song, just in case you haven't already known this, which you probably knew when you clicked on it. I don't actually know how to say this in Japanese, but I know from the kanji, like fire, kind of, well, celestial body, so fire, planet, person, in other words, Martian. Person of the fire planet, Martian. It's not about Matt Damon, though. That was a great film. Poop potatoes. Anyway, let's jump in on this one, give it a listen. I'm actually looking forward to this, and hopefully the reuniting will be an interesting experience. Alright, we're back to that funky feeling. Oh yeah, Martian. Are these just different languages for the word Martian? I love the way the room comes together. Oh, that was so edgy. Right the word up. Where is that big, giant steel spider thing? Is that in one of the London art galleries, I think? Backbeat on the guitar. Love how that plays against the beat. Oh, there's piano just popping in and out randomly. I love how it's kind of just like, in a lot of the between chorus bits, it's just this kind of chill, very minimalist kind of jam, and then the chorus just ties it all together. Well, now we know how to say it in Japanese. Kaseijin. Oh, there we go. I didn't even notice it was in the lyrics until then. That was fun. Yeah, this song is just straight up all of the coolness and all of the funkiness. It's alive with those little nuances and details. That's great. That's really great. Let's leave the credits on the screen. Are there any more credits on that? No, I think that's the full credit set. Yeah, that's the full credit set. All right. I'm kind of glad coming back to the original storyboard was actually by Nabuna. Okay, nice. And he directed it. I haven't noticed actually. I haven't been paying enough attention to the previous music video directors because obviously their music videos are often very well known for being artistically interesting. I wonder how many he's done, or is it just this one? Anyway, still, this was really cool. I really enjoyed this. I will say that, yeah, I did kind of recognise the chorus. I think I kind of heard the chorus, but it didn't like super come to me that, oh yeah, I've heard this song regularly. It was just like, oh yeah, I kind of vaguely remember this. I will say though, that what was interesting to me listening back to this in context is that I do think that how this sits in the album is rather interesting. It's another one of those songs where at points it kind of veers into a sort of a minimalism. And I would say this album at its best takes minimalist things, little tangible lines of instrumentation, just always a little bit of piano, a little bit, a little bit of guitar just here, a little bit of piano there, simple beat, and it sort of takes those things and makes every little thing interesting and then sort of builds upon it. At some of the albums, the album really hasn't had any weak moments, but in that one song that didn't quite hit me as much as I wanted it to, it was mainly because I felt it was minimalist, but it didn't really build upon what it had. This song, I have to be honest with you, I feel like this was a really good pick for a single. I'm not surprised this was popular. I'm not surprised this was a single, because to be entirely honest with you, that chorus is very catchy, which I know is a very sort of basic compliment to give a song which has so many other qualities for it. But let's just get this out of the way. The chorus was very catchy, which a good single kind of needs, and it repeated itself a lot, but it kind of was an earworm in a nice way. It was an earworm in a nice chilled way. You could sing along to it, get it caught in your head, but it's not going to get super annoying. I think it's going to be one that's just going to get drilled into your brain in kind of a chilled out way where you can just imagine it going over and over, da, 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 round and round again and again. So I think it has that perfect balance between earworm and actually kind of pleasant. And a lot of what stops it sounding repetitive and drilling is the fact that the background underneath it is this sort of nice, fluid, very natural style of instrumentation. I mean, I often say this, if you have a slightly repetitive chorus, one of the ways of taking the repetitive vibe out and replacing it more with instead of just a kind of nice therapeutic repeating sound, is just to kind of have a very natural recording of the instrumentation, because it means that every time it comes around, the musicianship in the background is not going to be exactly identical. Just the little way that the keys are touched on the piano, the little bounce on the bass is just going to be that teeny subconscious, barely noticeable little bit of difference, which is going to make it sound like it's naturally repeating rather than being copy pasted over and over again. So I think, yeah, this is the right sound for pulling off a rewarding earworm, and that's exactly what they do. The verses go very simplistic. Yeah, we got like just the reggae style backbeat on the guitar. You got like the piano. I love the way the piano came in, like the second verse, just adding little flicks, little runs, little rolls, and off it goes. And same thing on the guitar as well. There was like a second guitar, wasn't there, I think, in that. So the song in the verses is incredibly simple, but that works because it brings it together in the chorus. The chorus is lush. It has this, again, the chorus is where the vocals become kind of a little bit more, not simple as in easy, but a little bit more simply structured to just be this repeating earworm. And then as they do that, to sort of get drilled into your head, I say that instrumentation all comes in the background. You get this beautiful, thick, bouncy sort of sounding musicianship in the background. Really love how just everything comes together in the chorus. So again, that's another way to make a chorus really work, is when, you know, it feels like everything's sort of come together. You know, you're building up to it, and then it rewards you by everything coming together, and it feels like a satisfying kind of chorus. This is definitely the sort of song that takes the idea of basic minimalism and repeat earworms, two things that usually I would be very tentative about, and puts them together in a way that actually functions, feels good, pays off. Music video, very simple. I don't know how I feel about it as a music video. I like it. I think it's cheeky. Not exactly a music video I'd come back and watch again. I think the music video is kind of like nice concept, but it's kind of like, that's a one-time watch for me. It's not one that I would, because it doesn't really seem to, for me, it doesn't really seem to express much of the music, and it doesn't move much of the music. It's just kind of like a set of fun little scenes that are in keeping, kind of, but it doesn't sort of match the bouncy pace of the actual song itself, which kind of feels much more kinetic, feels much more lively. But still, I like it as a purely artistic endeavor. The video is cool. I like it, and of course, it's pretty iconic, because even if you forget the song, I do remember the red octopus face thing. Still, actually, yeah. I've got to be honest, that is definitely something that sticks in your head. That's still going to be something you're going to remember for a long time afterwards. But I personally really enjoyed this song, and it definitely makes more sense now in context of the album, and in context of understanding the artist, and in context of understanding where they are in their career. So anyway, those are my thoughts. As always, the next song we'll be getting onto will be, well, the next one on the album, which is Rubato. So we're going back to some of the non-music video album tracks, which is always fun, because that's where you get to have a little bit of experimentation and do things that aren't expected. I also subconsciously think I might have said this in a previous video, and apologies if someone's already commented. I record these a long time before I post them, so when this goes out, there will have been a lot of comments that I haven't seen at the time of recording this. But I do remember saying at the time that I think that the music video tracks sound like they were, or seem or feel like they were all recorded in a different session from all the other tracks. That they maybe had a series of hits and music videos and then thought, okay, we want to make an album out of this, so we'll go do a second session and record a bunch more tracks that I've got ideas for, put it all together and make it a full-length album. So that's kind of what it feels like. But yeah, so I'm interested to see what we get going back to a album track with Rubato. But that's where we're going next. So as I say, get in the comments, tell me what you think about this one. Until I see you hopefully in the next video, or in any video on this channel, or if I see you on the Discord or social media, wherever it is. Until then, for now though, ciao ciao.